Hi art nerds! I am back with another video today. This illustration is something that I started last year, like last April. It is March, so it's been a while. I really wanted to practice street scenes, partly because I don't do them, and partly because I was working on a novel at the time that I've kind of placed on hold to focus on more art stuff. But since I'm really loving graphic novels, I wanted to start illustrating some of the scenes because it's faster for me to get a rough sketch of an illustration down in my head, like from my head, than it is to write an entire scene. And that's not always the case, but I would like my art to be better or good enough that I can take those moments from my head that I want to write about and make them passable as an illustration, or at least a sketch for me to flesh out later. So this was the first solid attempt at a larger illustration, a more detailed background. It didn't turn out terrible. There are definitely things about it that I like, and there are definitely things about it that I don't like. Namely, the person in the foreground. I totally screwed her up. At the time, I did not have a solid idea of what she should look like in my head to begin with, and trying to illustrate her just was not a good idea. On the other hand, there are wanted posters on the posts that you'll see more clearly later, and there is a young man going through an alleyway with a top hat, and he is in all of those wanted posters, and I love him, and I should have made him the person in the foreground because I know exactly what to expect from him. Regardless, an illustration for another day, I guess. I was really feeling inspired by Ashia art. She does a lot of just beautiful illustrations of city scenes and these complicated, just filled with people street scenes. And I find them very intimidating, but when you watch her videos, it's one of the joys of YouTube, you can see how she builds up that detail and how adding these little bits and pieces here and there flesh it out, even though it's not necessarily the most complicated thing to draw. Like, she is much more talented than I am, especially with shadows. She has a very good sense of lighting and depth that I have not cultivated yet, and she's much better at drawing people. But I think I learned a lot by trying to emulate her style in doing this piece. Side note, the two little guys that I am illustrating right there in the background just walked out of a bar, and one of them is laughing at the other one, who is bent over in the street puking because they just left the bar. Not a thing that is relevant to my book or the illustration, but I really liked it as a detail. It made me happy. Still makes me happy. In any case, I do, moving forward, need to practice more city scenes, and the things that I like about this outweigh the things that I don't like about this. It was very time consuming. Honestly, it really didn't take more than maybe 3 hours to do, from like initial sketch, ink, watercolor, partly because I use a hairdryer, as you'll see later, to make my layers just dry faster. Gee, that's shocker. Dries faster if you use a hairdryer. In any case, because I use that, it dries fairly quickly and I can just keep working. However, I just had that kind of down feeling that I don't like how part of this is going, so I just want to leave it and I don't want to finish it. And you don't learn as much doing that, so I don't recommend it. I'll probably do it again in the future, but I'm trying to be better about remembering to just finish the thing and deal with it and judge yourself and your accomplishments later, because looking at it as a finished piece, I can see where I'm happy with it and I can see where I'm not so happy with it. So anyway, rambling aside, I hope that you enjoy this piece. I learned a lot from it. Yeah, I again don't really like how the girl in the front turns out, but overall I think that it was a pretty solid attempt on my part. So you'll probably see a version of this again in the future at some point, because I'm feeling really into graphic novels and I need to expand my abilities to do streets and multiple characters and just movement in pieces. But for now, this is where I've left off. I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Have a great day, my fellow art nerds, and go make something. I'm gonna give you some awesome music now, so chill out with that, and let me know what you think of this piece down in the comments below. Bye!